Alright folks, the main purpose of this video is to connect the number 418 with Aleister Crowley. Some pronounce it Crowley, like Ozzy Osbourne for instance. We'll talk about Ozzy in a little bit. But take a look off to the left. That's a version of a cover of the Book of the Law, written by Aleister Crowley. Notice the number 418 is right on the cover. The number 418 is special to Crowley. I know the pronunciation is debated. The first time I heard the name, it was sung by Ozzy Osbourne, his song, Mr. Crowley. So look at Ozzy Osbourne's date of birth. December 3rd, 1948. If we use that as a starting point and go backwards 418 days, that brings us to October 12th, 1947, which just so happens to be Aleister Crowley's final birthday alive. 418 days, how about that? From Ozzy's date of birth going backwards to Crowley's final birthday alive. We'll talk about a few more numbers. The main purpose is the 418. But if you look at the Book of the Law, which is attributed to Crowley, many different versions of the cover exist, but many of them have the number 418 right on the cover. And there's a few other Roman numerals, which we'll talk about briefly. If you're looking at a cover of the Book of the Law with the Roman numerals present, you're going to see the Roman numerals that represent 220, 93, and 666. So since we're talking about Mr. Crowley, we're going to see the title of that song that Ozzy Osbourne sang, Mr. Crowley, with the capital M and the capital C has a value of 220, like the Roman numeral represented, and 666. So with the case-sensitive cipher, reverse, caps, mixed, capital M, capital C, Mr. Crowley, equals 220. Look off to the right, we have the reverse Sumerian cipher. The same title, Mr. Crowley, equals 666, just like the Roman numeral. And the only other Roman numeral there is the Roman numeral that represents number 93. Notice on the book, it has the equal sign and then the number 418. So I'd like to challenge anybody in the comments section to give a more direct connection between 93 and 418 using Gematria or isopsophy. It's where letters have numerical values, and I say challenge, but I mean that in a friendly way. I really want to learn. And I had some trouble with how the Roman numeral 93 somehow equates to 418. Sure, we can do some mental gymnastics, but I notice if we use the keypad cipher of Gematria, the cipher that represents the alphanumeric buttons on your telephone, and just type out the words 418, we get a value of 93. So forget the challenge. This is just asking to learn. I want to learn how else we can connect 418 with 93. That's the most direct connection I've seen. So 93 is an important number in Thelema. And I made a video and I found a whole bunch of 93. Just some connections I found, just some minimal research, surface level research about Crowley and Thelema, and I found all these 93s. So I'm not going to harp on the 93 right now. I'll leave a link in the description for my video. Just take my word here that 93 is important to Thelema. And on the Book of the Law, they equate it with the number 418. So I already mentioned Ozzy Osbourne saying about Mr. Crowley and his date of birth. Ozzy Osbourne's date of birth going backwards 418 days can bring us to Crowley's final birthday alive. So look at Ozzy's birthday from last year. For reference, I'm making this video April of 2024. So looking at Ozzy's birthday last year, December 3rd, 2023. Going backwards 418 days brings us to October 11th, 2022, which happens to be the premiere of a show called The Winchesters. So when the show first came out, I gave it a watch, the first couple of episodes, and just from the trailer in the first episode, I saw a lot of this Thelema symbol, the unicursal hexagram. In the Winchesters, it's the Aquarian star. Now, for those unaware, the Winchesters is a prequel. It's connected with the show Supernatural. So the Winchesters, not to spoil it, but the show The Winchesters, the prequel, this is the mother and father of the Winchester boys from Supernatural. Both of these shows, The Winchesters and Supernatural, show this symbol. Very similar, if not the same exact thing, as the Thelemic unicursal hexagram. In the Supernatural universe, they call it the Aquarian star. It represents the quote-unquote men of letters. Since it also is reminiscent of Thelema, I think of Gematria, isopsophy, letters, numbers. Here's the men of letters symbol. But you look up Supernatural, a big character in that show is a demon, the king of hell at one point. He was Crowley or Crowley. I forget how they pronounced it, but this guy Mark Sheppard plays him. Shout out to Dan Barrett. I learned from his blog, the Mindless Freaks blog, that Mark Sheppard, who plays Crowley, suffered a major heart attack on Aleister Crowley's birthday. And you can see here, straight from the Instagram of real Mark Sheppard, it was dated December 2nd, the day after Crowley's birthday, but he says, "You're not going to believe this. Was on my way to an appointment yesterday when I collapsed in the kitchen, blah, blah, blah." But he said yesterday, so it happened yesterday, Friday, December 1st. Again, December 1st is Aleister Crowley's birthday, and this guy, Mark Sheppard, played the demon Crowley. So I'll leave a link in the description, leave a few links. Mark Sheppard tells the whole story, from his version of the story, I guess I should say. But yeah, he talks about how he almost died, and he mentions it was Friday. But again, that was Mark Sheppard, the actor who played Crowley in Supernatural. And then this prequel is The Winchesters, which heavily features the Thelemic symbol unicursal hexagram. The Winchesters' first episode aired October 11th, 2022, so going forwards 418 days brings you to Ozzy Osbourne's birthday, December 3rd. Real quick, I want to add this composite numbers connection. Been looking at composite numbers lately. So I've listed the composite numbers up through 418. Notice the number 418 is the 337th composite number. Typically, the 337th day of the year is December 3rd, Ozzy Osbourne's birthday. Usually, to be fair, he was born in a leap year, but typically his birthday falls on the 337th day of the year, and again, the 337th composite is 418. So we talked about Ozzy Osbourne's birthday, how it typically falls on this date that connects with 418 through composite numbers. We talked about Ozzy Osbourne's date of birth, going backwards 418 days, bringing us to Aleister Crowley's final birthday alive. Then we talked about how Ozzy Osbourne sang Mr. Crowley. We talked about the demon, king of hell, Crowley, Mark Sheppard from Supernatural, and how it connected with the Winchesters. From the premiere of the Winchesters, going forwards 418 days brings you to Ozzy Osbourne's birthday. Now let's talk about Crowley or Crowley, however you want to pronounce it, from the show Good Omens. He's a demon named after Crowley, whatever. And he's played by the actor David Tennant, who was born on April 18th, 4/18. And again, Aleister Crowley wrote the Book of the Law, and you can see on several different versions of this cover the number 418. If you look at David Tennant's date of birth, again, he played Crowley, in that Good Omens show. He was born April 18th, 1971. If we go backwards a span of 4 months, 18 days, that brings you to the anniversary of Aleister Crowley's death. Again, I said anniversary. It brings us to December 1st. Not his actual date of death, but the anniversary of his death. And that is, you think about, that's legit. You think about Kennedy. People know, 11/22, it's Kennedy. We talk about the anniversary of deaths a lot. So, David Tennant's date of birth going backwards, 4 months, 18-day span, meaning including the ending date, brings us to the anniversary of Crowley's death. So I've never seen season 2 of Good Omens. I had to check it out for nostalgic value. When the book first came out, it was a great book, Good Omens. I can't remember what was different. It was so long ago that I read that book. Now, I'm sure there's a whole lot of reasons why the number 418 is important to Crowley. I've only done minimal research. One thing I did hear is that 418 on the cover of many versions of the cover of this Book of the Law has something to do with Iwas. This being that Crowley supposedly channeled information from to write the Book of the Law. Notice the bottom half here. You see the Roman numerals there, and there's a few of them. But the bottom half where I have the arrow pointing at the XCIII equals 418. It's hard to explain, I guess, but that's like saying the Roman numeral 993 connecting with the 418 has to do with the gematria or the isopsophy or the letters into numbers of the channeled information from Iwas, whose name can equal 418 with Greek isopsophy. Word has it that Crowley preferred the spelling of Iwas with the Greek letters to equal 418. We can get a 418 value from the magic word. And from the word magic, spelt with a K, as Crowley did. Magic with a K has a reverse primes value of 418. And for what it's worth, supposedly Crowley changed the spelling, added the K to distinguish it from stage magic. This is real magic with a K. Call it a stretch. If we use the primes cipher, the forward-facing primes cipher, and type out the words, the magic word, again with a K, spelling magic with a K, the magic word has a value of 418. And before Harry Potter, a lot of normies, I guess you could say, would think, what's the magic word? Oh, it's abracadabra. Well, Crowley changed the spelling, manipulated it in such a way, he spelled it Abrahadabra with an H, and changed it to Hebrew letters to get a value of 418. Not to get too far off track, but 418 is the sum. If you add all the numbers between 13 and 31, 13 plus 14 plus 15 plus 16 plus 17 plus 18, etc., all the way to plus 31, you get a value of 418. So I'll leave a link in the description box for a number file video, The Most Evil Number, where it's this beastly prime, Belfeger's prime. 666 is surrounded by 13 zeros on either side, bookended by ones. So you have the 13 zeros on either side, and it's a 31-digit number. Again, the sum of all the positive integers between 13 and 31 equals the 418.